Did you know that most men over 50 misunderstand what a female orgasm really is, despite decades of experience? It's not because they don't care, it's because no one ever actually taught them. And the truth is, once you do understand it, everything changes, not just in the bedroom, but in your relationship, your confidence, and even your emotional connection. Main body, rewritten script, Trang. Hello, gentlemen. Let's talk honestly for a moment about something few men over 50 feel comfortable admitting. When it comes to female orgasms, most don't really understand what's happening, and let's be clear, this isn't about ignorance or indifference. It's about a lack of real, trustworthy education. Think about it. We weren't taught this in school. It rarely comes up in everyday conversations. And adult films? They might be entertaining, but they've painted a wildly misleading picture of what women actually experience. Here's the truth. Women don't just have one kind of orgasm. If you believe it's all about getting it done, you're missing the most fulfilling part, not just for her, but for you too. My name is Dr. Brian Carter. I'm a certified sex health counselor with over 20 years of experience, and I've spent most of that time working with older men, long-term couples, and husbands who want to connect deeper with their wives again. Let me tell you, when a man truly understands a woman's body, her needs, her pace, everything begins to shift. The relationship grows more intimate. She becomes more relaxed, more radiant. And you, yes, you, gain more confidence, not just during intimacy, but in your everyday life. So in today's video from Senior Health Boost, I want to give you something real. No fluff, no pressure, just a clear, respectful, and useful guide to what female orgasms really are, how they work inside the body, and 6 different types of orgasms a woman can experience. More importantly, I'll show you how to support her in reaching them, naturally, with no pressure, no forcing, just awareness, care, and patience. Now, I'm not going to promise that watching one video will turn you into a master of women's pleasure overnight. But if you take what I'm about to share and start applying it, even slowly, you will start to feel the difference. She will too, by the way, before we dive deeper. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or state in the comments below. I'd love to know who's joining us in this growing Senior Health Boost community of men who are committed to becoming better, not just stronger or fitter, but more connected. And if you're enjoying this already, take one quick second to click like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Your support is what keeps this mission going, to share more real, honest, and empowering content for men in their 50s, 60s, and beyond. All right, ready to start this journey? We need to lay a solid foundation because an orgasm isn't just a moment or a spark of pleasure. It's a coordinated process, both physiological and emotional. So let's begin with the first principle. Part 1. What a female orgasm really feels like and how it works. Before we get into the different types of orgasms, you need to understand this one truth. An orgasm is not just an intense feeling, it's a complex chain reaction that involves the brain, nervous system, hormones, and muscular responses, unfolding through 4 distinct stages. This wasn't just made up, it's based on the groundbreaking research of Masters and Johnson, 2 sexual health pioneers from the 1960s. And to this day, their model still forms the backbone of what we understand about female sexual response. Let's walk through those 4 stages. Stage 1, excitement. This is where arousal begins. It happens fast, sometimes within seconds. The heart rate starts to rise. Breathing becomes slightly quicker, and blood begins flowing to the most sensitive areas of her body. These areas become softer, warmer, more sensitive to touch. This is the body's first sign. It's preparing for more. Stage 2, plateau. If the stimulation continues at the right pace, the sensations grow stronger. The body builds anticipation. At this stage, patience and precision are key. The woman's body is highly reactive, and just one careless or overly aggressive move can cause the arousal to retreat or shut down altogether. Stage 3. Orgasm. This is the peak, the moment where the lower core muscles begin to contract rhythmically and involuntarily. For many women, this phase can involve full-body sensations. Some may tremble, gasp, grip tighter, or vocalize without control. Every woman is different. But what's shared is this. It's not about performance, it's about release. Closing transition to next section. Now that you understand how a woman's orgasm unfolds, biologically and emotionally, it's time to explore the 6 different types of orgasms she may experience. You may already be familiar with 1 or 2, but others, they might surprise you, and knowing the difference can be the key that changes everything. Let's explore them together in Part 2 of this guide on Senior Health Boost. Now that you understand how a female orgasm unfolds in stages from excitement to release, it's time to dive deeper. Because what happens after the climax can be just as meaningful as the build-up itself. The final stage of the orgasm cycle, resolution. During the resolution phase, the body doesn't just relax, it recalibrates. 2 powerful hormones flood the system in this stage. Dopamine, which delivers that unmistakable feeling of joy and satisfaction, and oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, which strengthens feelings of trust, closeness, and emotional intimacy. This is why, after a meaningful, connected experience, many women don't just feel satisfied. They feel seen, safe, and deeply connected to their partner. It's not just about pleasure. It's about partnership. And here's something crucial that many men don't realize. Unlike men, most women don't need a lengthy recovery period after orgasm. If they're feeling comfortable and supported, their bodies can often stay aroused and even reach orgasm again. Sometimes not just twice, but multiple times in a row. But this only happens when trust, care, and emotional presence are prioritized over rushing through the act. Once you understand the full rhythm of her body from anticipation to recovery, you begin to move with her energy rather than working against it. You begin to listen to her, not just with your ears, but with your attention and intention. That's when magic happens. And now that you've got a clear biological framework, we're ready to explore something even more important. The 6 distinct types of orgasmic responses a woman may experience, and how you, as her partner, can help her discover and enjoy them naturally. Part 2. Surface-level pleasure, awakening through external contact among all the different responses a woman's body can experience during intimacy. The most common, and often the most responsive, begins at the surface. We're talking about the external sensitive zone, located just above and in front of the vaginal opening. So, why is this area so significant? From a biological standpoint, it contains more than 8,000 nerve endings, more than any other part of the female body, and twice as many as in the most sensitive male areas. This means that even the slightest gentle touch, when done correctly, can ignite powerful sensations that ripple through her entire body. But here's where many men get it wrong. They assume more pressure equals more pleasure. That faster is better. That being intense shows confidence. But the truth? What most women truly want here is not force. It's finesse. Think of it like tuning an old radio. One tiny adjustment, one shift in angle or pressure, and the signal becomes crystal clear. Approach her with that same sense of care. Start slow. Use light circular motions. Let her guide the pace, whether through words or subtle body language, like changes in breathing, gentle arching of the back, or her hand. Instinctively reaching for yours. You can use your hands, you can use your lips. But above all, don't rush. According to a study from Indiana University, with the right type of external stimulation, many women can reach climax in as little as 5 to 7 minutes. but only if the pace is right and they feel emotionally safe. So how do you know if you're on the right track? Watch her breath. Is it deepening? Is she shifting closer to you? Is her body leaning in or her eyes softening? These are signs, not of performance, but of trust. Signs that her nervous system is relaxing and that her pleasure is building naturally. And here's something especially important for men over 50. As women mature, their needs often become more emotional than purely physical. Technique matters, yes, but what matters more is making her feel that she can relax without being rushed or judged. This zone isn't a magic button, but with care, patience, and consistent attention, it can become a key to unlocking not just pleasure, but emotional closeness and renewed connection. Next up, the deep internal response. Now that we've explored the surface layer, let's move a little deeper, literally. The second type of response we're about to discuss isn't always easy to access. In fact, many women have never consciously experienced it, but that doesn't mean it's out of reach. When approached properly, the deep internal pleasure response can offer a completely different kind of sensation, full-bodied, slower to build, but far more profound. And if you're still watching, I want to take a moment to say thank you. It means you care, not just about sex, but about growing, connecting, and becoming a more attuned partner. If this content has been helpful so far, let me know in the comments by typing 2 below. I read everyone and love seeing who's truly walking this journey with me. And if you haven't already, take a second to like this video, subscribe to Senior Health Boost. You may have heard it called the G-spot, but whether or not you use that term doesn't matter. What truly matters is this. When approached with care, the deep anterior wall of the vagina, located about 2 to 3 centimeters inside on the upper or front wall, can create a sensation that many women describe as a wave rising from deep within. Not sharp, not quick, but expanding, enveloping, emotional. It's a completely different kind of pleasure than what's experienced on the surface. How should you approach it? If using your fingers, think of this as a gentle invitation. Insert. 2 fingers slowly, palm facing upward. Curl them slightly, just as if you were signaling, "Come here." Now, maintain a gentle, rhythmic motion, not fast, not hard, just enough to feel the texture and listen to how her body responds. If she arches her back, tilts her pelvis forward, presses down against your hand, or releases soft vocal sounds, it's likely you've found the spot. You may also notice her body begin to synchronize with your rhythm, subtle movements that let you know she's sinking into the moment. And while positioning can vary from couple to couple, any angle that gently tilts the pelvis forward, whether she's lying flat, on her side, or even seated, can offer better access. But here's the important part. Don't expect instant fireworks. Every woman is different. Some may feel intense sensation right away. Others may not notice much at all the first time. That's completely normal. This kind of pleasure isn't just about mechanics. It's about trust, emotional openness, and the willingness to explore slowly, without pressure. That's why communication is key. Ask her gently how she feels, or better yet, listen to her body. Sometimes a pause in breath, a small smile, a relaxed exhale. These are signals that speak volumes. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found that couples who approach this kind of exploration with open communication and zero performance pressure report significantly higher satisfaction, especially in long-term relationships. Why? Because this inner zone isn't just about physical sensation. It's a gateway to emotional intimacy, one that says, "You know me, you're paying attention. You're here with me." And that, more than anything else, is what deepens connection. Part 4. The indirect back zone response, a quiet revelation few discuss. Now we're stepping into territory that's rarely talked about, and yet holds unexpected potential for many women, especially those over 50. We're talking about the pleasure response originating from the back zone, specifically the perineal area and regions near the anus. At first glance, it may feel unusual or even taboo. But if we strip away cultural discomfort and examine this from a neurological and medical perspective, something fascinating emerges. According to studies in neurobiology, the nerve networks in the pelvic floor, particularly the pudendal and pelvic nerves, link the anal region, perineum, and internal vaginal structures. These nerves don't just register pressure, they connect to deeper parts of the brain associated with emotional processing, relaxation, and trust. What does that mean? With the right conditions, gentle, indirect stimulation of this zone can lead to a completely different kind of pleasure. Not sharp, not immediate, but slow, expansive, like a deep wave that starts low and spreads throughout the entire body. So, what makes it work? First and foremost, trust. Because this is such a vulnerable area, the body naturally tenses if there's even a trace of fear, shame, or pressure. So before you ever think about touch, you need mutual consent, clear communication, and an agreement that it's okay to stop or adjust at any moment. If you and your partner feel comfortable and are curious to explore this zone, here's how. To begin safely, start with gentle, external touch, nothing invasive. Use a high-quality lubricant to reduce friction and increase comfort. Move slowly. Watch for her reaction. Check in with her softly. Stay present. There's no technique here that guarantees a result, only the right environment, trust, warmth, and emotional connection. In a 2020 study from the University of Michigan, women over 50 who engaged in consensual, mindful exploration of the back zone reported sensations described as a low emotional pulse, or a warmth that radiates inward rather than outward. They described it less like a climax and more like a release, emotional and physical, wrapped into one. This response is less about stimulation and more about surrender. It often works best when paired with elements like eye contact, gentle voice, or even massage across the lower back or hips. In other words, it thrives in environments of deep care and attunement. So if your partner has never explored this zone and is open to it, consider taking that journey together. Don't make it about the goal, make it about discovery, because, when done right, this often overlooked pathway can unlock new dimensions of connection, especially for couples who've been together for years and are seeking something fresh, meaningful, and deeply satisfying. Coming up next, orgasmic response from core muscle engagement. Now that we've covered both surface and internal pleasure pathways, including this lesser-known back zone, it's time to explore a completely different type of response, one that involves core muscle engagement, pelvic rhythm, and full-body harmony. This next type of orgasm isn't about location. It's about movement, breath, and the nervous system working in sync. So stay with me, because what's coming next may help both you and your partner tap into pleasure you didn't even know was possible. And if you've found value in what you've heard so far, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to Senior Health Boost, and leave a comment below. Let us know, have you ever heard of this kind of response before? Or has something new sparked your curiosity? Your engagement helps this channel continue to grow, and more importantly, it helps us reach more people who are ready to deepen intimacy and health in meaningful ways. As we've explored, not every type of stimulation is for everyone, and that's okay. In fact, one of the most empowering aspects of intimacy is this: you get to choose what feels right for you and your partner. No one technique is required. There's no checklist to master. What truly matters is shared comfort, mutual respect, and emotional safety. Now let's transition into something remarkably unique, a form of pleasure that can emerge without even touching the center of intimacy. We're talking about what's known as the full-body sensory response, a reaction so powerful and yet so subtle, it often surprises even those who've been in long-term relationships. So, what triggers it? Let's begin with something simple: the chest area, particularly the nipples. Modern neuroscience has revealed something fascinating. The nerves around the female chest are directly connected to the same region in the brain that processes sexual arousal and genital stimulation. That means a gentle touch to the chest can light up the brain's pleasure centers, sometimes just as powerfully as direct contact down below. In other words, it's not just a spot for affection, it's a pleasure portal, neurologically wired to intimacy. According to a study conducted by researchers at Rutgers University, nipple stimulation activates the genital sensory cortex, the exact same area in the brain that processes clitoral and vaginal sensations. This means that for some women, especially those with strong emotional bonds and sensitive neurocircuitry, it's possible to experience climax through chest stimulation alone, no direct contact needed. But here's the key: gentleness and presence. This isn't about speed or pressure. It's about rhythm, breath, attention, and emotional connection. When you gently use your hands, your lips, or even your breath, combined with eye contact and words of care, you send a signal that she is safe, seen, and deeply cherished. And in that emotional safety, her body can begin to open up and respond. It's not uncommon for women, especially those over 50 who value emotional depth more than physical performance, to feel strong emotional and physical responses from this kind of stimulation. While it may not always lead to climax, the effect can be profound. A wave of warmth, tingling sensations through the spine, or even tears of emotional release. Because remember, intimacy is not just about outcomes, it's about presence. When you touch her chest with full attention, you're not just stimulating skin, you're saying, "I'm here with you, I'm listening with my hands." And often, that level of presence can be more powerful than anything else. Now that you understand this fascinating sensory pathway, let's move on to something even more powerful: the blended pleasure response, where two different zones are stimulated simultaneously, creating a surge of sensation that can leave both partners breathless. Part 6. Blended pleasure. Response: the power of simultaneous stimulation. Imagine a musical duet, two instruments playing in harmony. Separately, they're beautiful, but together, they create something transcendent. That's the best way to describe the blended pleasure response. A type of experience where two different sensory zones are stimulated at the same time, resulting in an exponentially more powerful reaction. This isn't just theory. It's neuroscience. The human brain processes pleasure through a network of overlapping neural circuits. When two separate pleasure pathways are activated simultaneously, say, the external clitoral region and the deep anterior wall, often referred to as the G-spot, the brain receives dual inputs that converge in the emotional and sensory centers. The result: the sensations don't just add up, they multiply. It feels fuller, deeper, and more consuming. The pleasure doesn't stay localized, it spreads, engulfing the body in a wave that often includes rhythmic muscle contractions, breath changes, emotional release, and a sense of timeless connection. This is often described by couples as the whole-body orgasm, not because it literally touches every inch, but because it feels like it does. So how can you create this kind of blended response? Here's what works best. Start slow. Begin with external stimulation, focusing on rhythm, breath, and nonverbal cues. When she's fully relaxed and responsive, gently begin internal stimulation, maintaining steady contact with the sensitive upper wall inside. Synchronize the rhythms. This is where presence matters more than technique. Try to match the tempo, alternating between the two zones with subtle shifts. The timing doesn't have to be perfect. What matters is the harmony. Some couples find success using fingers and tongue. Others prefer a combination of hands and hips. There's no one formula, only connection, observation, and feedback. And remember, some women need more time to reach this point, while others may feel the effect quickly. The goal is never performance. It's shared exploration. According to findings in the archives of sexual behavior, women who experience blended orgasms often report greater emotional intimacy, reduced stress, and improved relationship satisfaction, especially when their partner was present and attuned. And here's something worth emphasizing. This type of climax isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's a soft wave, a smile, a sigh, a feeling of fullness that lingers long after the physical part is over. That's the beauty of blended pleasure. It's not just about biology, it's about chemistry, trust, and the kind of bond that makes two people feel like one. What's next? Let's wrap it up with heart and intention. If you've stayed with me through this journey so far, you've already taken a step few people take. You've chosen to learn, to listen, and to connect, not just with your partner, but with yourself. That's what we do here at Senior Health Boost. We bring light to topics that matter. We help you rediscover intimacy in a way that feels respectful, empowering, and beautifully human. If you found this video helpful, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the valuable insights we share. And don't hesitate to share this episode with someone you care about, whether it's a partner, a friend, or someone who's navigating love later in life. They might just thank you for it. Coming up in the next segment, we'll go even deeper into the emotional connection behind intimacy and how to sustain pleasure, love, and closeness in long-term relationships, even when life gets complicated. So stay tuned, because the best years of intimacy, they might just be ahead of you. When true emotional intimacy aligns with deep physical connection, something extraordinary can happen. A woman's body may release in a powerful, unexpected wave. Her lower abdomen might tighten. Her breath may come in soft gasps or sudden pauses. She may tremble or lose herself in the moment, and all of this is completely natural. In fact, it's a sign of how deeply her nervous system is activated, both emotionally and physically. We call this the full body release response, a rare but real phenomenon acknowledged today by the medical community. So, how do you help her get there? What's the right approach? It starts once again with your presence. This isn't about doing more, it's about noticing more. The best coordination in moments like this doesn't mean multitasking or moving quickly. It means that one man is fully tuned in, his hands responding to one area while his rhythm supports the other, all while reading the tiny cues her body gives. A shift in breath, a tightening grip, a look in her eyes. Sometimes couples use gentle tools to maintain a steady pace, something soft, something rhythmic. But even more effective than technique is your energy, your calm voice, your affirming touch, the trust in your eyes. That's what unlocks the deepest forms of release. According to the Journal of Sexual Health, couples who explored blended stimulation and communicated openly beforehand reported over 70% higher satisfaction than those who stuck to only one form of intimacy. It wasn't the mechanics that mattered. It was the mutual understanding and trust that created a deeper emotional current. It's important to understand these experiences aren't higher level or more advanced. They're simply more layered, more intimate, and more emotionally enriching. And now let's turn to one of the most misunderstood yet powerful experiences a woman's body may go through when these emotional and physical energies combine. The full-body emotional and physical release. In some rare but unforgettable cases, a woman may experience what feels like a complete emotional and physical release, an outpouring of sensation that can include involuntary fluid release, tremors, or deep emotional expression. This is not urine. It's not a sign of anything wrong. It's a completely normal reaction when her emotional safety, internal stimulation, and nervous system response all converge at once. For years, this phenomenon sparked debate, even shame. But modern research has shown that this is a valid, natural, and healthy reaction in some women. The cause? Steady, rhythmic stimulation of the deep anterior wall, also known colloquially as the G-spot. This area contains Skene's glands, which can release a clear, odorless fluid through the urethra under high pressure, often accompanied by a mix of emotional release, relief, and a profound sense of surrender. But remember this critical truth. Not every woman will experience this, and that's okay. For those who do, what matters most is your reaction. Don't look shocked. Don't ask if something's wrong. Instead, remain calm, supportive, and grounded. Maybe whisper, hold her hand, or place a reassuring hand on her chest. Let her know she's safe, she's respected, she's seen, emotional. Safety is everything. This type of full-body release tends to occur in long-term relationships built on trust, where couples feel comfortable exploring and communicating with one another. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine reported that approximately 15% of women have experienced this kind of release, most often in emotionally secure partnerships. But here's the key. It should never be treated as a goal. If you frame this experience as something that must happen, you'll create pressure. And pressure is the enemy of pleasure. Instead, approach the moment gently. Begin with clear, open communication. Create an atmosphere of warmth, trust, and patience. Then, if the body responds, simply flow with it. Sometimes you'll notice signs: quickened breath, gentle tension in the lower abdomen, or even a glimmer of emotional release in her expression. If she's entering that space, you can support her by staying steady. Don't shift the pace. Hold her hand, keep eye contact, or just let her know that you're with her completely. These are the kinds of moments that don't just strengthen physical bonds, they deepen emotional ones, wrapping it all together. A message from the Papa Heart. If you've made it this far, chances are you're not just watching this video casually. You're someone who cares, someone who wants to connect, understand, and grow closer to the woman you love, and that means more than you may realize. Throughout this journey, we've uncovered 7 different types of female pleasure responses, each unique, each real, and each capable of deepening your relationship in a meaningful way. Let's quickly recap what we've explored. The surface-level pleasure that awakens sensation, the deep internal response that rises from within, the back zone, sensitivity that surprises even longtime partners, the chest-based full-body sensory connection that bypasses expectations, the blended pleasure created by dual-zone harmony, and finally, the full-body emotional release, a moment of surrender and connection few couples ever forget. But beyond any technique or term, what really matters? Presence, trust, patience, emotional safety. These are the universal ingredients. No matter her age, body, or background, what every woman needs is a space where she feels honored, safe, and truly connected. If you give her that, she'll show you parts of her that even she might not have known before. And let's be clear, there's no age limit on learning, growing, or loving. You don't have to be in your 20s to enjoy deep soul-level intimacy. In fact, some of the most profound, passionate, and healing connections happen later in life, when partners have the wisdom, confidence, and presence to truly listen. If this resonated with you, if you found value in this conversation, I invite you to take just a moment right now to hit the like button. It helps more people discover this message. Subscribe to Senior Health Boost, where we dive deep into the emotional, physical, and relational aspects of aging with grace, joy, and strength. And if you feel comfortable, leave a comment below, whether it's your thoughts, questions, or even just a hello. This community thrives on real stories and shared wisdom, and if there's someone in your life who could benefit from this knowledge, a friend, a partner, a fellow explorer of intimacy and connection, share this video with them. You might be offering more than insight. You might be opening a door. Thank you for joining me on this deeply human journey, because no matter your age, your background, or your story, you deserve love, safety, and connection that lasts. We'll see you in the next video on Senior Health Boost. Until then, be kind, be present, and keep the connection alive.